Hi friends, welcome to the Shits and Gigs podcast where we keep the vibe high, the humor gets raunchy, and things get spicy when we talk about food. I'm your host Meg Davis, and I'm here today with Georgia Barrett, a local graphic designer that is moving mountains with her creative edge and unique ideas, and she is hot off the train from New York.
Yes.
You just attended, was it a podcast rebrand launch?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was a little launch party for Taylor Strucker. She's like rebranding her podcast and kind of changing the structure of it a little bit. So they wanted to go all out, and I got invited.
That is so exciting for you.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's like, got invited. Oh, it's in New York City. I don't think I should go. That's gonna like be a haul to get down there. And one of my friends, Lucho, who is the connection that I got the podcast job from, was like, no, you gotta come. I'm gonna like walk you through it. He was on the same train.
Good.
Yeah, it was like having a guide in New York City.
Yes, that's awesome.
I went to school in Boston, so I know what it's like to be around like a baby city, like a tiny one.
Yes,
but
New York is like, a whole other animal.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I can go to New York City by myself. So. But yeah, it was amazing. I was so glad I went. It was one of those things that's like, wow, I can't believe I almost didn't go to this.
Yes.
It was cool.
It's a big deal because you, I think I remember you posting recently, you're 3 years deep going full graphic design. Yep. And what, were you always doing graphic design or how did you get into things?
Yeah, kind of. So my story, basically, I'd always been a little like artsy in high school and stuff, but I feel like when you're in high school, you're so young when you determine what you're going to do for quote unquote the rest of your life.
Yes.
I feel like
so much pressure.
Yes. There's like, when you think about like how young you are, I totally think people should do gap years, but then probably no one would go to college.
I know, right? But I mean, maybe that's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
because student loans are also a burden in themselves, and
1,000%.
I don't know what the statistic is, but probably at least 50% of people aren't doing anything in relation to their degree. I would think.
So many people, even that I graduated with, like at a very small like group of graphic designers, not a lot of them practice design now.
Yep.
So in college I chose graphic design as my major because I wanted something that was a little bit artsy, but I thought that it was going to be a good connection with the business world too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I chose Suffolk University in Boston, and they had kind of a good liberal arts background, but then they also had a fine arts school.
Nice.
So, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to dive fully into full like art school, RISD, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great choice. And then my first internship out of college was at a company that did patient recruitment and marketing for clinical trials.
Cool.
So it was kind of like a big girl job in graphic design, and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was there for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so was that designing like logos and things for medical brands or?
Yeah, very close. Yeah. So basically a company would come to us, like a pharmaceutical company that would have a new drug, and it would be in the phases of clinical trials.
Okay.
And basically we would brand the study. So the study would have a name, it would have a logo, it would have a website, it would have materials, brochures. Yeah. So it was kind of like the perfect, I don't know, foray into actual design in the real world. So
interesting. Like getting to work with clients and kind of a cold market approach because you're not like approaching someone to rebrand.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was kind of cool just to see how the company grew, and it did end up growing to a size that obviously the founders wanted it to, but when I first started it was a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Our team was really tiny, and the vibe was a little bit different, and by the time I left there were cubicles, and it was in Quincy, Mass, and like I was driving up there and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I just thought, what if I work as hard for myself as I do for this company? And that was 3 years ago. And since then I've worked with so many businesses in Rhode Island, so many people just in the country. Yeah. And maybe this year it'll be like in the world. We'll see what happens,
I mean, you've been doing some crazy cool things. You also had a rebrand for, was it one of the reality TV show people? Or their drink maybe?
Kind of, yeah. So, yep. So randomly, and this is one of my little things for like advice for people if they're really trying to look for jobs. A lot of people don't know you exist. A lot of people don't know that what you do or that you could help them. So Melissa, my sister-in-law, she's the best.
She's the best.
Yeah,
we love Mel.
So we saw, so she's the sweetest. We watched Summer House. We love Summer House.
Yep, she loves her reality TV shows. That's for sure.
So one of the guys on Summer House, he has a liquor brand called Loverboy, and
I love Loverboys. I'm not a huge drinker, but I do love those.
yeah. So they were actually him and one of the other guys from the show. His name's Carl Radke. He is sober, so he has a non-alcoholic version, or I guess they have a non-alcoholic version of Loverboy that he kind of helps promote.
Okay.
But he's actually going to be doing something for himself. It's called Soft Bar.
Yeah.
But I met him at this little meet and greet at literally a liquor store in West Warwick.
I love that.
And I was like, you know what? We decided that day we were gonna go. We're like, let's just see. Like, it's in West Warwick. This is wild.
Why not?
5 minutes from my house. I'm like, let's just see. Like, they were super nice.
That's
I brought my business cards. And
Way to promote yourself.
Literally gave them both my business card. And I was like, told them I'm cheaper than a graphic designer in New York City. That's where they live.
Yes.
And he remembered that I said that.
Wow.
And they also told me when I gave them my card, they were like, we're probably going to lose this. Just, like, email us. And gave me their emails. And as soon as I got home, I, like, sent them both an email.
Which is awesome. Follow-up is huge no matter what field you're in.
Yes. And that's kind of one of those things where my corporate background, it's annoying. Like, all those little corporate things that you learn, if you apply them to your business, they really do help a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So then we ended up working together. I helped them with, they had already established a brand first, so I didn't do any of the stuff there, but they had an agency in New York City do it, so it was kind of cool even from my perspective to see what those like big agencies create and what their deliverables look like and what their like pitch decks look like. It was really cool to see.
That's awesome.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of merch for them.
Very cool. So like this, was it that the sweatshirts and stuff that you had done?
So
super cute.
They're hoping to have a spot, I believe it's going to be in Brooklyn. Okay. So we did a lot of like Brooklyn, New York tees and just stuff that was on brand, but not necessarily the logo everywhere. Yeah. And I think that's something that I always try to push my clients where you can break a few of the rules. It doesn't just have to be like your logo on a hat and a sweatshirt and a backpack and like mix it up. Like
you have to catch people's attention.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then just like leave those subtle hints that it's all about you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so fun. Now, as far as landing these bigger clients more recently, probably within the last year, right? You would say? Do you feel like you're more so doing the reaching out like you've been, or have you just been able to be in like the right place at the right time kind of thing?
Honestly, it's right place, right time.
Yeah.
It really is. So much of it is word of mouth. And I think the same way that I've been able to get clients, you know, smaller businesses in Rhode Island, which are still great clients. I love working with small businesses. Yeah. Because I feel connected to them because we're kind of in the same boat.
Right.
I can totally understand what they're feeling with their business and what kind of things they want. But the same way that I get those clients is kind of the same way that I've been able to get the more like higher profile clients that I have right now. Yeah. The more people know about you and the better job you do when you work with them, they'll mention your name in opportunities and they'll think of you, or I don't know, even small things, if you can help them do something, maybe it's like not going to be like some huge project. Right. Be like, yeah, sure, I can help with that. Like,
right. The follow through, the customer service is all memorable for sure. Yep. And I remember a mentor told me once, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Yeah, so it's just, it's just all about, again, like putting yourself out there, right time, right place maybe, and you just never know like what that one connection is going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So it's so interesting to figure out. And as far as I know, you just rebranded, or not rebranded, but launched a website. Yeah. So what are some exciting things that you have going on with that?
Yeah, definitely. So when I first did my website, I really wasn't sure what to expect because I was like, all right, I'm going out on my own. I was overthinking it way too much. I did do a great brand shoot with my photographer, Mariel.
Yeah, your pictures came out so fun.
Yeah, she's amazing. She did my original one too, so I kind of wanted them to be the same vibe, like cousins almost. But I really tried to speak a little bit more, basically use my own advice that I tell clients. Right. Like, talk to your client when you're on your website and kind of showcase things that you want your clients to see versus talking too much about yourself. Like, I do think that it's good to talk about yourself and your journey, but everyone's always thinking about themselves anyway. Yes. So it's kind of good if you can explain your client's problem better than they can explain it themselves, you've already got the job. Yes. So like, that was one of those mindset things where I was like, all right, this is how I'm going to structure my website. Also, right now I'm a one-woman show. Maybe down the line I might hire someone, but I really have fun doing the design portion. Yeah. And I never want to get into a spot where it's similar to my corporate job because one of the reasons why I left, I was not really doing that much design.
Gotcha.
Because I'd been there for a while. It was a lot of meetings, you know, a lot of talking about what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, you want to keep your hands in the fun part.
Exactly. So I never really want to lose sight of that. And I still have so much fun with my projects, but I can't take on everything.
Right. It's limiting in a way. Yeah.
Yes. So I do have a couple other things on my website. I have templates now. So
fun.
Yes, like obviously much cheaper than working with me one-on-one, but it still is my design and like my style. I use a website platform called Show It.
Okay.
So easy to use. It's literally like a drag and drop builder, and especially once it's all built in those templates. Yeah. You literally just like plug and play and put in your own photos. Once you change the text, it doesn't even look like a template because you can change your fonts, you can change your colors.
And this is templates to build your own site?
Correct.
Or?
Yeah.
Cool.
Templates for website templates for on Show It. So I have those, and then I also offer if you want me to customize the template for you, I can do that.
Okay.
And yeah, a couple new like things like that with my service lines, but
I love it.
It's just one of those things that everything evolves.
Yes, I feel that so hard.
And, and like you don't. I think this year has kind of taught me like you don't need to have everything like in the boxes and being like this needs to be like this. If I want to change something next month, I can change it.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think like it's important not to get bogged down with kind of all those little nuanced parts of your services and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you still want to provide value for your clients, but things can change. Things can evolve.
Yeah. Between the podcast and then my recipe subscription and stuff, I feel like I'm pivoting constantly. Yeah. And it's almost to a point where you're second guessing yourself because you're like, I'm really going to change something again. But you're like, why not? It's my thing. So I have all the power to do that. And hopefully the pivots are to cater to your customer or your ideal niche, you know?
I know. It's so good to kind of look at it and like a sense and be like, wait, what can I change? You learn so much when you just have that critical eye. Yes. And you don't have to be nitpicky or do that with your business, but you learn every day.
Yes.
You learn new things
it's a new journey every single day. So as far as your ideal client goes, what does that look like as far as people that you found you had a lot of fun working with, or maybe just like the person? I know you're kind of into the website design specifically, but
yeah, definitely. So I've worked with a bunch of different clients. I feel like the ones that I feel we kind of vibe the best are when people have either like not so much a vision in the sense of I know exactly the fonts I want. I know exactly, but like knowing what that value is behind their business, and especially that ideal client that you want to reach. Yeah, I think having that in your mind, that's starting out is the best thing. Got it. So usually it's small businesses. Either they're starting from scratch, or they like don't have anything, or they've been in business for a while, and those are kind of fun because I know that not everyone has the budget for graphic design, and there are so many things that you can use now, like Canva, to DIY your own stuff, which is totally fine. If you don't have the budget and you have a vision, you want to do it first.
I lean on that hardcore.
No, it's the best, and I am that designer. I set my clients up for success. I always load everything into Canva so they can use it. They use all the
smart.
tools.
Yeah, I love that.
So that way they're able to kind of like translate that into what it looks like. But I do think that when you're kind of working on your own branding and you already have that established, it's kind of good to maybe after you've been in business for 2 years, 3 years, to kind of take a look at it and then rebrand it. I feel like that's where people kind of see the most, obviously, visual before and after, but when you're trying to pivot into like a new market, or you're trying to get higher paying clients, or you want those clients to like pay a little bit more attention to you, it's kind of good once you've already been in business, right? So that way you can kind of look back and be like, oh, what are my clients looking for? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And then I like to ask those kind of questions so we can bring it into the branding. So I would say I do like starting from scratch, but sometimes it's kind of fun to work with an already established business. Right. Kind of has a look and feel, but they are doing it all themselves and they just need help. You know?
I love that for sure. And what's been your favorite project that you've worked on so far? If you had to pick one or two even.
I know, it's so tough. I've worked with so many amazing people, but by far, my favorite project ever, it was one that I did my first year in business. Oh, wow. It's called Bevi e Vivi. They're a luxury beverage bar. Fun. When I first got the project and the description, I can literally remember the inquiry coming into my inbox and being like, this sounds so cute. It's a little mobile bar. No way. It's a mobile tap truck. And also I loved this project because it's a like family team. I worked with brother and sister team to kind of create everything. Yeah. they're Italian. They have just such a like the vision behind the brand was so deep because it was rooted in family, rooted in their Italian history. They also like do all their drink recipes themselves.
Wow.
Like, so I helped work with them on, you know, branding the truck, like making sure we had all different types of logos. We even made little like the taps on the truck like have a little icon on them.
So cute.
And it's kind of cool because they've been in business now for 2 years. They're having a big anniversary event at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to see that just kind of grow. Like, their brand was growing the same kind of time that my brand was growing.
Yeah.
And they've just done so many events. So many people know about them. They won, like, a Best of Rhode Island. Not even a category. Like, the first year they were in business was, like...
Wow.
It was just, like, a spotlight in Best of Rhode Island Monthly.
So
it was
cool.
so cool. So
that's amazing.
Stuff like that is cool because I feel like even though they had that vision for their brand, I helped kind of bring it to life. And now I can see it...
Thriving.
And see the impact that has on
that
the
must be
rest
so
of their
cool
stuff.
for you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now,
it's
do
so
you
fun.
often like creep back at old projects just to see how things are going?
Yeah, sometimes. A lot of times we make a lot of people find me on Instagram, so we already have that connection through Instagram.
Yep.
So I'll like make sure that I continue to follow up. But I want to be better about this. I need to be better about like posting my projects once I'm done.
Yes.
Because there's so many.
That's how you caught my attention.
Yeah, literally.
You had done, I think it was a photographer, and she ended up, I saw someone I had gone to school with, who I haven't talked to in forever, but they had the most fun wedding pictures, and I had seen their photos, and then like a week later, I saw that you had done the website rebrand, and it had one of the fun, like, I think it was the skateboard photo on the front.
Victoria Costello.
Yeah, so
she's
that
amazing.
was so cool just to like see the connections. Rhode Island's so small.
Yeah, Rhode Island is so small, and so much of that word of mouth, quote unquote, it does come from like Instagram and social and stuff.
Yeah.
So posting projects really helps me, and I don't know, it's just that Bevy project was probably my favorite.
That sounds like
and
a
now
really
like
good time.
we'll do like merch every once in a while. Like I still create things for them.
That's awesome. Yeah. And do you already have like a follow-up structure for past clients, or do you kind of just touch base as you think of them?
Kind of just touch base as I think of them. I'm trying to be better about like my closeout strategy too. Yeah,
just
it's
to
be
a
like,
learning curve.
Exactly. Yeah, just to have a little form of like, was there anything I could have been doing differently that would have been helpful, or like even just leaving your link to review. Like sometimes people forget, like, oh, she has a Google page, like I'll leave her a review.
Oh, that's awesome.
So kind of those subtle, I don't know, little pieces of the project that you're constantly tweaking, constantly growing. So
yeah. And now, I know you had said that you had been at your corporate job for about 8 years. And when did you know it was, like, time to go all in? Other than just, like, driving there and you're like, I'm not feeling the cubicle life.
Yes, yeah. So
because it's hard to make that decision to go from, like, a 9 to 5 where your income's so solid to, like, full-on entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
it was a huge domino effects, I would say. First, I would say Zach and I, we don't have kids. We were in a financial place where even if I failed miserably, it would not have impacted our life that much. So that was number one.
Yep.
But with the corporate job, I really noticed how much it was like bogging down my mental health. I couldn't enjoy weekends. Literally the only day of the week I liked was like Friday nights after work, because it was like, that was like the only time where I could feel like, oh, good. And then all of a sudden, you're getting closer to Monday. You know what I mean?
You're like already the inevitable Monday.
Yeah.
Scary Sundays.
Exactly.
Or Sunday scaries,
Sundays,
is what they say.
Yeah, Sunday scaries. I would have them. It would be so bad. And I was also working from home. COVID made our company kind of shift to more. I was already working from home a few days a week because my commute was pretty long.
Yep.
But because there was nothing else to do but work, I was just working all the time.
Yep.
And I don't know, I just like wasn't really exploring hobbies, wasn't really just working all the time, and I just kind of thought to myself, what if I did this for myself? What if I could? I'd always followed a lot of different designers on Instagram, girls who, same thing, I quit my 9 to 5 and blah, blah, blah. But a few catalysts happened.
Yes, let's hear it.
One was I had always followed Danielle Holleran. She's
I love her.
Details and Swirls. So she was looking for, I'd always followed her, loved her journey. She had actually quit her 9 to 5 the year before.
Yep.
And I was like, she does this. Like, she works for herself.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the same thing, graphic design, but I was like, she's doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do it.
I actually had her on the show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
it was
so
a weird connection. I used to dog sit for her, like, mother-in-law.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, so that was so crazy.
Yeah, she's the sweetest.
She's so sweet and a total hustler for sure.
Yeah. I don't know how she has so many hours in the day. It's amazing.
I don't know how she does it.
So she posted that she was looking for an assistant in
okay.
Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't going to match my like corporate salary, but I was like, if I just have this one thing to do every week, that's like a little part-time job.
Yes.
This will kind of be the good catalyst. And I was like, I'm just going to apply to see like what happens.
Yeah.
And I did, and she was looking for someone like that. And I basically just wrote my story that I'm in a 9-to-5, that it's soul crushing. I live in Rhode Island. I can be at your house. I'm dependable. I just need a shift in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her at a Starbucks, and she's like, this isn't really an interview. Like, I just wanted to meet you. And I was like, you have the job. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go
this
put
is
in
amazing.
I was like, I'm going to go quit my job right now.
That's amazing.
So that was one of the first catalysts. I also took an online course, too.
Yep.
It's through this girl, her name's Becca Luna, but she does more education for designers, and I took her, it's called Wealthy Web Designer.
Yeah.
But it was really good because it helped you kind of like price out your kind of, if you were going to be offering web design. I was basically just doing graphic design stuff on the side, like invitations, and I was like, I'm going to have to do 5,000 invitations in order to make any money.
Right, so it kind of helped maybe discover your worth in the field. Yeah.
That and like having to, like a bigger ticket offer where I could offer something that was, higher value that I could work on for like longer stretches of time that could pay the bills. And from there, that's like very abbreviated, but I worked with her for like 6 months until she went on maternity leave and still was working on my business behind the scenes. So it was kind of wild by the time like she was ready to go back to work. My business had kind of taken off, that I didn't really like I didn't really have the time to continue to work with her, but it was great. She's always been like so supportive.
I love that. And I love, she's definitely one of those people I feel and one of the purposes of my show eventually is like just creating those connections, because personally too, I've been in the health and wellness field for like 8 years, and sometimes I just feel like people who are in this entrepreneur space just like lack that one connection that could like change everything for them. So I would love for this podcast to be like a opportunity and connection platform to just expand people's circles, because if you're like in that little like baby bird phase of like trying to build this big thing, it's daunting to think about those first steps in general, but to go and like kind of own what you're doing is so hard. So to just get people like out of their shell and just like talk about what they're doing is so big. So
and you really do just have to like put yourself out there, even though it's scary. I've been to a couple different networking events that have turned into client projects. Like just being able to talk about what you do it's scary if you're like, not good on the phone or not good at talking or public speaking or whatever, but like everyone's pretty much nice. Everyone most likely wants to get to know about your business, especially at events like that.
Oh,
so,
of course,
I don't know, I feel like even with the digital space, everyone's making connections. And also the Rhode Island connection, I feel like I've gotten a lot of work just by saying that I'm in Rhode Island and saying that I'm a Rhode Island designer. Like, people want to use you because you're local.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. And Laura from Buns and Bites.
Yes.
I think she said this on the podcast, or maybe she said it on like her Instagram or something. She was like, just focus on your general area and be the best you can be in that general area, and like just kind of keep like expanding and keep expanding and keep expanding. And that's kind of what I've kind of subconsciously have been doing that. But it's such good advice because you start small, you have connections, it's easy to make small talk in Rhode Island too. Every time, I don't know, I see people, I'm like, oh, who do you know from this town? And sometimes people know.
Everyone knows,
small.
That's awesome.
So kind of applying those same kind of social strategies to your business can also like help change things.
I love that. I mean, I feel like we dove into a lot. Any other final like tidbits, either for people stepping into graphic design or just like entrepreneurship in general?
Yeah, honestly, like saying yes to opportunities. I know that sounds cliche, but there's a lot of stuff that I end up like holding myself back from, or I think I did. Like, I'm changing my mindset a lot now, even just from this past weekend. Going to a party in New York City. Like, who am I?
That's nuts.
Yeah, I know, it's something like so small. It sounds like so silly,
but who knows what opportunities will come from that.
Exactly.
And if you didn't go, like, I don't know, like, I don't know how much you are into like mindset stuff, but I am a firm believer that you can like speak things into existence
Yeah.
as long as you're doing the aligned work for it. And you're just like a magnet for opportunity when you're just like putting in the work, you're super intentional, and like you're just doing your best and like putting yourself out there.
I totally believe in that kind of stuff. Even with my office, I feel like I manifested my office.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for a space that was outside of my house. I wanted to get a little bit more serious. I wanted to be able to bring my dog. And I thought of what I wanted it to look like.
Yeah.
And I had gotten my hair done at Studio B, which is it's near the Nilo Hotel.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So it's beautiful, exposed brick, like lots of natural light. And I was like, in my mind, what would I want my office to look like if I could have an office? So I found the property management company of that. And they were like, yeah, we have one space available. It's pretty small.
Oh my gosh.
It's perfect.
That's amazing.
Yep, and I can bring my dog.
I love that. Yeah, the
clear
clearer you get.
Same vibe, exposed brick. It's literally right above Studio B.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I totally feel it like that.
Yeah.
Has helped, like, I don't know, just like believing you're going to succeed before you actually do is like half the work.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's true. You just have to have the confidence to do it. So.
I love that. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time, especially coming straight from New York City. Literally got off the train and drove over here. You are up to big things. I can't wait to see what other projects you get your hands on, and just keep doing you, girl. You're crushing it.
Yeah, definitely. You are too. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.